All right, thanks for joining me, you guys. I'm going to try and go through this a little bit quicker than I normally do and not go in as much depth because we're going to do another recording right after this on the compensation plan. And I want to just try and keep it as short as I can, but we'll see how we do. This is Jimmy Smith. I've known Jimmy Smith now for about 13 years. And in this first picture, he's 80 years old. And they just celebrated his 90th birthday. So he's 90 over here on the right side. And literally, he's younger than when I first met him. And he's active. He's very engaged and doing presentations, and just it's an incredible thing to be able to behold something like this and see what is happening in people's lives because of what Isagenix is doing, and it really is on a mission to create the healthiest people on the planet. And their mission statement is to unlock the secrets of science and nature, and we've literally done that, and we've broken through into some new territory, which I'm excited to share with you today. This was me before getting involved with Isagenix, and this was the house we were living in, a little over 1,300 square feet. I was a mechanic. I delivered newspapers every morning. This is our car, 1989 Dodge Caravan, and I'd work on cars as a mechanic all day long after throwing the paper out every morning at 4:30, and then I'd fix cars at home at night as well. So I was probably putting in anywhere from 15 to 18 hours a day. And that was going on for about 4 years, and it was just beating me up. And I had lost my health, lost my energy, lost my enthusiasm. I still wanted to accomplish a lot in life, and I think in the areas that I was involved, I was doing my best, but it was far short and below what I knew I was capable of doing. And me and my wife actually went to a dream workshop where we wrote out a dream workbook. And in that, I wrote my dreams in a way that the guy taught us that they were already accomplished. And what I believe is that brought Isagenix into our lives. It attracted it into our lives because of the goals and the way that I've set them. And that dream book, I still have it. That was written back in 2005, and I read it every day. 5 months later, everything in that dream book has been accomplished, and I've gone way past it. So I literally believe me and my family and Carrie, we're living a fairy tale dream come true life. And back here before Isagenix, this was a picture of me in 2005. I was about 36 years old then. This window on our house actually shattered, and it stayed broke. I couldn't replace it. It was broken for years. It was about $600 to replace that. And we were always behind. So, if I made an extra $600, it was going to something else that was higher on the priority list. And we were grateful for the things that we had, and making the best as we could as each day went by. But we were doing a lot of things that we had to do, not things that we wanted to do. And I truly feel like this is my destiny now, because all of this has turned around 180 degrees for very specific reasons that I'm going to share with you today. But it really started with my health and me getting my energy and my vitality and my just literally lighting me up and making me excited every morning just because of the way I felt. And that hasn't gone away for now 13 years. And so where I felt like I was falling off of this staircase trying to, climb the ladder of life, I felt like I was always being pushed off or held back or obstacles or whatever the case might be. And I'd come up with certain reasons in my head for why that is. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be like that. And we've made a big difference in our own lives and in other people's lives as well. Because Carrie and I said yes. It'll be 13 years this year. Because we said yes 13 years ago, almost 300,000 people are in our organization. And we made a huge impact, both directly and indirectly, into tens and hundreds of thousands of people's lives. So I want to pass this on in this presentation and help you to see the principles that we can align our lives with that will start to give us the benefits and the blessings of aligning with those principles. Okay, so before, also I wanted, at that time, back when I felt like it was like survival mode before finding Isagenix, like I was just surviving. I look back and I can call it that now. And if you were to rate your importance of your health on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, where would you say that lies on that scale of 1 to 10? And most people say, well, it'd be an 11 or a 12. And I absolutely agree. And then I say, well, where would you rate your health on that scale right now? And I would literally have said, it's in the minus, because I'm praying for God to take my life or help me find a solution. And I'm just struggling through every day. I feel like I died, but I'm going on living. And but now, and what I felt at that time was that there's no way I would feel this way in heaven. So God, just take me home or help me find a solution. Then that dream book came up, and there is no coincidence as to why things happen. They all happen on principally based, a foundation of principles. And once I started reading that dream book that I put my dreams together in and the things that I wanted to accomplish as though they were already being accomplished, things started to change. And that's how Isagenix showed up. But in 2005, when I started reading that, I had no idea how those things were going to be answered. I thought I did, but they were completely different than what I had thought. But all of the things that I had gone through had perfectly prepared me for Isagenix showing up in my life and being the mouthpiece and being the impact that I'm being in the world. This is a legacy company, and we're leaving a legacy as, you know, as individuals as well, along with this company. And so I call it bringing heaven to earth, where before I would have been down here at the very bottom of the this scale of 1 to 10. I literally feel like I'm past a 10 because I feel better than I ever thought I could. And it's been going on for over 13 years now. Well, for almost 13 years. And we've been bringing a lot of people with us. And instead of saying, okay, well, we have to wait till we get to heaven to have this dream life and to have every single area. I'm not just talking about my health. I'm not talking about my wealth. I'm talking about every area of our lives have raised up to a level that is beyond anything we could have ever imagined. And so let's not, you know, be so quick to die and go to heaven. Why don't we just go ahead and bring heaven to earth? And that's kind of been my mantra now and my hashtag, bringing heaven to earth. So let's go through the presentation and just share the principles of what I've discovered in a way that I want to present them to you so that hopefully you'll understand and be able to align your life with them. Before I get started, I want to show the disclaimer here so that we don't get into any trouble. We're not going to make any claims around curing any illnesses or diseases. The FDA monitors nutritional companies to make sure that we don't do that. I truly believe that the body has an innate ability to heal itself. And therefore, as we follow higher and higher principles, then our body's going to respond in a way that is equal to that. And we can have some pretty amazing things happen for us. So, but we're not going to make claims around curing illnesses or diseases. Now, this was me back in 2005, 36 years old. I was on my exercise program. I was eating salad and tuna right out of a can and oatmeal and running up and down the stadiums at the football stadium. I was riding my bike to work and back, which was 100 miles every 5 days. I had been doing this for about 2 months and wasn't working. I had eliminated the unhealthy things from my life, but I wanted them. My body craved them. It wanted the Rockstar energy drinks. It wanted the coffee. It wanted the soda, the Snickers bars and ice cream and things like that. But I eliminated them. And after about 2 months, I wasn't getting results. That's when my wife found these products, Isagenix, at an expo. And she quickly grabbed me and put me in front of the booth and said, tell my husband what you've been telling me. He's been looking for this. And they were telling me, but I was so skeptic. I wasn't in the right place at that right moment in my head. And so I was only listening with my head, but I wasn't even really listening. And I took the guy's card and said, if I want to do it, I'll give you a call. And I literally threw his card away. It was the solution, and I threw it away. Luckily, not luck, but Carrie entered a drawing to win some products, and she won them. And so I decided, I'm going to do it with you. If you won them, I'll do it with you. And this is me 25 days later after getting started on that program. Without exercise for that first month, you guys. 27 pounds in 25 days is my personal story. And my energy went through the roof, and it hasn't gone away. It's, like I said, coming up on 13 years. And I started exercising and staying on the products. They tasted amazing. I haven't missed a day since I've been on it. I haven't had a Rockstar energy drink. I haven't had any coffee or soda. Coming up on 13 years now. It's not willpower. I just don't want them anymore. And that's principally based. I'm going to explain that. But here it is, 4.5 months from that first picture. And I released 53 pounds in 8 weeks. That's my personal story. And I felt amazing. It didn't feel like a diet at all. It felt like this wonderful life that I was now living. And I knew what the catalyst was. It was these products. So it wasn't like something that caught me by surprise or I was unaware. So I've been able to replicate that because I don't ever want to not feel like that or look like this. And like I said, it tasted great. And I still look forward every day to a shake. Now, what I'm going to really focus on here is turning back the clock. As great as our nutritional products are, and I believe they're unparalleled because John Anderson and his commitment and his knowledge as well and his formulating ability, I believe he's the foremost leading expert that's alive today that knows how to formulate like he does. And he was able to bring this breakthrough into a new era, which a geneticist and his researcher, a team of 40 researchers for over a decade couldn't do what John did in literally months. So I want to go over the science of this, but being on this product added to my lifestyle, my Isogenics lifestyle, took me back to my junior and high school wrestling weight. I'm in better shape now than I've ever been. My recovery, my endurance, just everything. And I want to talk about why that is and really hold the magnifying glass over the science of that. And I've been leading with this product. There wasn't really anybody else there wasn't at the time anybody leading with this product like I was in Isogenics. I was the only one that did it because I really saw this as a breakthrough in science research and then supporting the body in a level that it never has been before. And it's really been a win-win situation for everybody. So let's jump into this. Here's a human cell. The human body is made up of over 100 trillion of them. In the middle of every cell is called the nucleus. Now, we're going to go over some deep science here, but I want to try and make it brief, and I want to try and make it easy to understand. But I do have to take a little bit of time here to explain what a telomere is. See, the telomere is being depicted in the red. It's the caps on the ends of the chromosomes. And the chromosomes sit in the middle of every cell. And they house your DNA, these little steps in the ladder. And the DNA, these where the colors come together, that's called a nucleic bond. So when those two hemispheres come together, they make a connection right there where the two colors match. Well, the telomere, like on this rope that I made with some red electrical tape, holds those nucleic bonds together. But here's what's happening. The body is degenerating, and it's degenerating faster than it ever has. It's the first generation of children that won't live as long as their parents. That's a telomere issue. In fact, every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease is a telomere issue. So what's happening is as that telomere degenerates and gets shorter and shorter and shorter, it's damaging more of the DNA. So if you look at the frayed part of the rope, that's damaged DNA as a pre-teenager. In midlife, the telomere keeps getting shorter and shorter, and so it's damaging even more DNA. And then the cell will shut down and you'll die of a degenerative disease when it reaches a point called senescence, the death of the cell. So as this rope is fraying, it's separating those nucleic bonds further and further down the strand. That's like taking away the software that's running the program. So the more and more software you lose, the worse the programs are going to run. Well, the programs in us are our skin, hair, eyes, organs, and bones, everything about us physically. And the software is the DNA. Now, this is Nobel Prize winning research. They've known this. It's in the category of physiology and medicine in 2009. Now, the reason it's shortening the lifespan is because we're accelerating the degeneration of the telomere. It's getting shorter and shorter faster. Smoking cigarettes, alcohol, but processed foods. Processed foods with trans fats in them, and then other chemicals and industrial chemicals that our bodies are exposed to. You're not going to shorten your telomeres at the same rate throughout the entire body. That's why you see different problems in different areas of the body, and you're even going to see differences between people. Nobody's telomeres are going to be shortening at the same rate. There's just too many variables that would make it a unique thing per each person. But you're going to see a lot of things overlap because there's only so many cells that we have and so many different programs. And so you're going to see a lot of similarities from person to person with these health challenges. But every degenerative disease, whether it's Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, lupus, loss of hearing, loss of vision, ALS, thyroid disease, cancer, osteoporosis, you need a knee replacement, it's going to be a telomere issue. Because as the telomeres get shorter and shorter, your knee cells can't run as optimally. And so what happens is they start to degenerate, which causes pain and other discomforts. It's throughout the entire body like that. It could be MS. It could be, again, all kinds of issues. Even split fingernails as you get older and they start to split and they don't heal up, becomes very painful. That's a telomere issue. Now, Bill Andrews knew that the body had the ability to repair this problem on the telomere level. Remember, I mean, let me just ask you the question. Do you believe the body has an innate ability to heal itself? Right? When you cut your skin, the cut heals itself up. When you break a bone, the cells will actually weld themselves together. The doctor doesn't fix the bone. He might set it, but he doesn't fix it. That's cell communication that's doing that. Well, on the level of the telomere, Bill Andrews and a few other researchers knew that this could heal itself via a gene that produces an enzyme called telomerase. And I was mentored by Bill Andrews. And as I started learning about his information, it just had me so fascinated that I had to put this presentation together. And he said, Dave, that's the best presentation I've ever seen, where you've taken my really complicated research that's very difficult to understand, and you've made it easy for people to understand. And so Bill was identified in popular science as the man who would stop time because he identified first human telomerase, the gene that's in the chromosome. He proved how it's healing itself. And that led to furthering the research, which has led up to where we are today, which I'm excited to share with you. So what I've shared with you so far is all part of the Nobel Prize winning research. Every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease is linked to the telomere. Now, some stuff that I'm going to share with you, we're pioneering. We're making the history. And so this is an exciting time to be alive, and it's exciting to be able to share this with you. This was about a 14-page article just on Bill Andrews. He's one of the world's leading researchers in this area. And again, he's the one who identified how the telomere could repair itself. This was about 14 pages just on Bill Andrews and his research. Now, as I started taking this information to the public, a lot of people thought I was crazy. Nobody was talking about this. Most people still don't even know that they have a telomere. So I asked Bill Andrews to do a video with me real quick, and Carrie was videoing this with our little cell phone. And this was about 6 years ago, coming up on 7 years. And I just asked Bill to do a little video endorsing me because he mentored me, and we've actually presented together. He knows what I'm talking about, so he endorsed the information that I'm sharing with you. So as I was taking this to medical professionals, it really made a big difference. But I'll see if you can hear this. I didn't bring my speaker with me. I'm on vacation, but let's see if I can play this and you can hear it.
Dave MacArthur. I'm Bill Andrews. And I wanted to introduce this video to you. I've collaborated with Bill Andrews and been lecturing around the country about his research in Product B. And Bill Andrews actually discovered the human telomerase gene back in 1994, and he was featured in Popular Science as the man who would stop time. So, Bill, what would you like to say?
Well, I've listened to Dave speak many times on Product B, and I endorse everything he has to say. So I invite you to come listen to Dave MacArthur speak about Product B.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
So there's the endorsement from Bill. And this, like I said, this was about probably close to 7 years ago now. And when I'm doing live presentations, people can't believe that was me. Like Bill, or like Jimmy Smith, I look a lot younger than I did just 7 years ago. So just in a recap real quick, as the chromosomes get shorter and shorter at the tips, which are called telomeres, it's damaging more and more DNA, which leads to every symptom of aging and every degenerative disease. And again, that's Nobel Prize winning research. Now, what the researchers knew because of microscopes, they can measure the length of a chromosome. They measure in something called bases. So when we're conceived, it's 100 million bases long. Do you know that by the time we're born, we've already lost a third of our telomere? So that means we've lost a third of our DNA. Nobody knows what it's like to operate at 100%. The degeneration is taking place before we're even born. This is some pretty profound information. Now, what the researchers knew is that the reproductive cells, they don't get shorter. They don't degenerate cell division after cell division, year after year, decade after decade. They're maintaining integrity on a DNA level. They nickname them immortal cells. And the reason they nickname them immortal cells is because they don't die, they don't disease, they don't age. Remember, this is disease and aging as the telomere gets shorter and shorter in the chromosome. And these are not doing that. So there's no aging that's taking place. So they nickname them immortal cells. Now, how do you and I know that as the general public? Without the microscope, without measuring those things? When a baby's born, if a baby inherited the same cells that the parent, has been aging with, like my mom was 48 when she had my youngest sister, Melissa. So let's say that's a 48-year-old gene, which would be proper thinking, right? My mom's been alive for 48 years, so she's going to hand off cells that are 48 years old to Melissa when she's conceived. So why is Melissa not born 48 years old, like my mom and her cells? Because she didn't inherit 48-year-old aged cells. Yeah, chronologically, they're 48 years old, but physiologically, they're not 48 years old like we think about aging. And that's why Melissa was born younger, because she inherited these immortal cells. Now, if you really understand aging, which you understand more than you knew before you saw this presentation, then you have to realize, yeah, that is a proof that somehow there are cells that are not aging in our bodies. And so, I think it's a very interesting fact. But this is what the researchers knew because of microscopes. Nobody could prove how that was doing that until Bill Andrews did in 1994. Then he invented the equipment and started working with human skin cells. And by 1997, he got the human skin cells to repair themselves by activating that gene. So inside the Petri dish, human skin cells were repairing themselves and getting back to full length, 100 million bases long. And then when the cells divided and handed off the new chromosome to the new cell, they were maintaining that integrity, cell division after cell division. So they were now behaving like they're supposed to when the body's operating optimally. And he got Inventor of the Year runner-up for doing that. Now, it didn't really hit the media. This is a very small group of researchers, a very controlled environment. Bill Andrews knew exactly what it meant. But as far as the media, catching the attention of the general public, not yet. But Harvard piggybacked off of Bill's research and did it in mice. And that's where it really took off. But what Bill knew was doing that to the skin cells, using the innate ability of the human skin cells to repair themselves. If we could do that in this guy, literally turn back the clock in his DNA and restore it all in every cell, they said that guy would go back to his mid-20s, like 25, 26, 27. Now, this is the ABC News report talking about them doing it in the mice.
And now, eternal youth. Is it in a cage around the corner? News tonight of a breakthrough for some pioneering mice. But we always wonder, what does a fountain of youth for rodents reveal for humans? Here's Sharon Alfonsi reporting.
I feel tremendous.
In the movie Cocoon, it's a swimming pool that turns back the clock for a group of senior citizens. But now researchers have found a way not just to stop, but reverse the aging process. The key is something called a telomere. We all have them. They're the tips or caps of your chromosome, seen here in yellow. This is what it looks like in a young adult. But as you grow older, the telomeres become damaged and frayed, and as they stop working, we start aging, experiencing things like hearing and memory loss. Scientists took mice who were prematurely aged, added an enzyme, and essentially turned their telomeres back on. You can see it before the enzyme, after.
Their brain function improved, their fertility was restored. It was a remarkable reversal of the aging process.
Look at this picture. The mouse on the right has bad skin, gray hair, and is balding, but the one on the left had its telomeres flipped back on.
And you could see that essentially you now have a dark coat color, that the hair is restored, that the coat has a nice healthy sheen to it.
Even more dramatic, the change in brain size. This is before. The mice had 75% of a normal brain, like a patient with severe Alzheimer's. But after the telomeres were reactivated, the brain returns to normal size.
Okay, this is pretty amazing, right? How many people do you know that need a bigger brain? So this is the wow factor right here. And this is what led to the Nobel Prize being awarded to this research around telomeres, because these are mammals, living mammals. It's not a petri dish with skin cells. These are living mammals, and we're living mammals. So it really showed the potential and the possibility for us as humans. When they activated this gene, let's say this is the damaged DNA in the mice, they learned something new. DNA can repair itself fully. And that's down in the middle of the nucleus of every cell. And so they watched that. So yeah, the hair changed, the skin changed. So did the bones. They didn't even change their diet, and their bone density grew back. What would that mean for somebody who's having skeletal atrophy and all these different issues? Also, their cardiovascular system. So as people slow down, it's a reset. And they started acting like young mice again. Their glucose levels leveled out, which means their organs are now functioning optimally. Even their brain. This is the brain before, this is after. And I read the articles. There's a lot of papers published on these mice. And they were testing their memory and their cognitive ability and reasoning. And they were failing miserably. It was like severe Alzheimer's. And now they were functioning totally fine when the DNA was restored to those cells that were running the brain. But you could also see the lean tissue. This is after. So this is before, this is after. Look at the size of the brain is actually bigger. Saw that with the muscle, with the bone, with everything, the cardiovascular system. It was a complete reset. Like Dr. Ronald DeFino said, it was a remarkable observation of the reversal of the aging process. And it was all science. They could see that it was repairing the DNA, which is the foundation of our health. And I knew at that point, and also verified by Bill Andrews, nothing was doing that. if you were able to like take in good nutrition, antioxidants, you could slow down the telomere shortening. They couldn't even find any botanicals that would actually start lengthening it again. We're going to talk about that next. But you could slow down the telomere shortening by staying away from, the things that are going to shorten your telomeres faster. Don't eat the processed food with all the chemicals in it. Eat good foods, take antioxidants, and you slow it down. That's how somebody at 60 could look like they're 40. But if you have somebody who's just really exposing themselves to a lot of these toxins and things that accelerate the telomere shortening, they could be 30 and they look like they're 60. So it's not how long you've been alive chronologically, it's how long your telomeres are in every area. So I found this really, really fascinating. I thought it was exciting too, learning this from Bill, because I had never even heard of a telomere. And very quickly I realized this is the foundation, the core foundation of our health and everything about the quality of our lives. All right, over a decade later, by 2009, Bill Andrews and his team of 40 researchers had tested over 304,000 compounds. So this is where they tried the botanicals, the herbs, and all of these different supplements that are out there to try and see if it would activate telomerase, and nothing would work. They found 8 compounds out of 304,000 that did start to lengthen the telomere, and they have the only equipment in the world that could do it. They invented it, and they're the only lab that has exclusively been doing this. Nothing else is distracting them. And so they found 8, and each one of these red lines represents one compound being tested in the skin cells that lengthened the telomere out of 304,000. The problem with these is that they were all too toxic. Nobody was able to use these because they would cause some very severe side effects. And so at this point, 2009, this is when Bill Andrews was introduced to John Anderson by Peter Greenlaw. Peter Greenlaw's life was changed by John Anderson's products as a formulator. He owned a cabinet shop. And like me, it turned his health around, and he became very, very grateful for that. And when you're grateful for something, you share. And what's so cool about this, as we share consistently, we consistently see people whose lives are being impacted. And there's not a greater joy than that. I mean, when you can share something that impacts another person's life, that's at the top of the list when it comes to things that give us joy. And so Peter Greenlaw was totally on a mission to get Bill Andrews and John Anderson together so that they can share the information that they know and see if they could come up with a resolve for this kind of stalemate that Bill Andrews and his researchers were in. And so they're recognizing Peter for being able to accomplish that. And I was at this event right here, and they introduced us to Bill Andrews. He talked about his research. He literally had me at hello. Life has not been the same for the last 7 or 8 years now. Bill taught John about telomeres and telomerase, and John Anderson is the formulator of Isogenics. Now, he's been formulating nutritional products for over 40 years, and he formulated for over 600 companies, both retail, networking, direct selling, all of the companies, Nature's Way, GNC, and he also formulated the MREs for the military. And he's just a genius at what he does. He's able to extract things in a way that nobody's figured out, identify things in a way that nobody's figured out how he does it, and put them together in a way, and then give them their enzymatic processes through all natural processes, keeping things in their raw form and synergistically blending them so that they work even better together. And so that's why Peter came up with this thought. Nobody formulates like John. I bet if he was to help Bill look for something natural, they might come up with something together. So John said from the stage, I would have formulated for telomeres a long time ago had I known all of this about him. He said, I had heard about telomeres, but I didn't know everything that they were related to. Now that I know, I truly believe this is the reason why I was born, and I've never been more excited. And so he started formulating based on what he learned from Bill and sending the formulations over to Bill's lab. This is what Bill said in a documentary, not even in our company. It's a documentary that was out there on cable TV, and I just cut a little piece out of it.
That we'd seen for natural products, and we were pretty excited. It was the 11th compound we tested out of the first 15 samples that John Anderson sent us, and it was a hit. So we use the term hit in science a lot. So when we screen a lot of samples, we'll screen like thousands of samples at a time. But, I have to confess, at first we thought, wow, was he extremely lucky? Because we thought, how could he only be asking us to screen 15 samples? After screening thousands without a hit, we need a lot more samples than 15 if we're expecting to get a hit, but he got a hit. So he sends us another 15. and we get another hit.
Okay, sorry if you couldn't hear that. I'll explain it. I usually have my external speaker hooked up, but like I said, we're on vacation right now. A hit is a red line. So a hit means that it's growing the telomere back. Now, these over here were chemicals that they could find that would do it, but they couldn't find anything natural. So John Anderson sent 15 compounds to Bill's lab, and they tested them in the human skin cells. Out of 15, they got one hit. So this is the actual marker right here. This is Bill's graph that I got. And that's actually showing that it's growing the telomere back from a natural ingredient out of just 15 tries. So over 10 years, over a decade, and 40 researchers, John was able to do it in a few months. And then he just says, wow, this guy's really lucky when they get this first hit, as you would have to assume, you know, the odds. And then John sent another 15 and they got another hit. In 120, they got those 7 right there. So he called John Anderson a genius. Bill is now saying, this is the most exciting time of my life. This just moved our lab forward 10 to 12 years of where we thought we would be. And we're going to see this change the landscape of human health. So if you can make the connection, you know, what I shared with you about telomeres and actually supporting the telomere on this level, it's unprecedented. I was able to be privy to a lot of things that other people weren't. I was on phone calls. In fact, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, who's been an MD for over 40 years, he had such amazing results on this, and he's a raw food advocate. And he said he demanded that I get him on the phone with John and Bill, and I did. We got on the phone together, and it went 4 hours. I was on the phone till about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was amazing. And he put together a newsletter and sent it out to about 25,000 different subscribers. And in it, he said, in my 40 years of being an MD, I have never seen anything even close to this or experienced anything even close to this. It's the breakthrough into a whole new era. And so what we're doing right now is we're pioneering something that's never happened before. Bill Andrews said, when this happened, we just crossed the finish line in the race to telomerase. And you look back to see who's in second place. He says, there is no second place. And then John, he wanted to know how John was getting these natural ingredients to do that, which John was not going to divulge. Bill wanted him to write and publish the papers on it. And John said, no, we're not going to publish any papers. This is going to remain proprietary. It's going to run through Isogenics. And the main thing is keeping the integrity and the quality and the price low. That's what Isogenics is committed to. John, as he formulated for over 600 companies, over 2,500 different health products, he said every single one of them, not one exception, compromised the quality of the products in any industry. And he said it was very frustrating. So when he started his own company, the commitment is to be a legacy company, a company that no compromise, and that we continue to learn new science and improve the products and keep the price at a place where everybody could afford to be on them. And so John did get it better and better. There was a second generation. The price didn't change. Even on third generation, the price didn't change. And Bill Andrews, I got a call from him, and he said, get a little group of people together in Las Vegas. I'm going to come talk to you. John did something that I said would be impossible to do from a natural botanical. He found 2 hits that went off the charts. And that moved us forward 15 to 20 years of where I thought we would be. Well, we're way beyond that now. There's over 25 hits in what we're taking, with hits even bigger than those 2. And that's it right there. There's 120 vegan gel caps in this bottle. And you take 4 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And it's doing unprecedented things we'd never seen before. It's just on a small scale, so a lot of people don't know what's happening, even though it is happening. Kind of like when the Wright brothers took the airplane off the ground. Rumors were flying around. Do you know it actually took 5 years for the public to believe and accept the fact that they did it? Now look at it. Look at flying now. Bill Andrews said this will become a household name. And he believes after the product was released and we started getting all of these results, I was interviewing Bill, and he said that in his opinion, he believes we'll get the Nobel Prize for this product because of its impact on human health. We've already received a congressional award from Congress with Isogenics for its impact on human health, but he believes we'll get a Nobel Prize. Let's go through some observationals now. This is Bill's wife, Molly, and she ran this race 2 years earlier when the product didn't exist, and she didn't make it to the finish line. It's called the Ultra the High. It's at the second highest elevation in the world. It goes from 13,000 feet to 18, back to 14, back to 18, and back down, and it's 138 miles long. Only 6 people have ever made it to the finish line, and people have died running this race because they push too hard and there's 30% less oxygen at 18,000 feet. So they're real endurance junkies. You know, they thrive on that. But she tried it 2 years earlier, didn't make it. Then this product came out. And it used to be called Product B, isogenesis. Now it's just isogenesis. But she got on the product. She's the first female and the 7th person to complete that race. And she did it right at about 59 hours. There's no sleeping on this race. You run through the night. There's no naps. You just continue to run until you get to the finish line. So she's the first female and the 7th person. A year later, being on the product, Bill did it at 60 years old. And he's the oldest person to do it now. And he did it in just over 50 hours. There's something about endurance that it does as well. And I talked to Bill about that. I'm not going to take the time to go into it right now, but how it supports the mitochondria. Also recovery and stamina. But he said it on Facebook, he's breaking records he set 20 years earlier at 40 years old. One of them was the same race in Montana. He beat it by 50 minutes. I went from running a 10-minute mile to a 7-minute and 30-second mile in just 5 days. I have so many stories. I had a biker, a lady that rode bike with a younger group. They were in their 30s and 40s, and she was close to 60. Her name's Victoria, in the Bay Area. And she said in 5 days she was riding with them, where before she's usually about 5 minutes behind them. Well, in about 6 to 8 weeks, she was leading them. And I did a couple meetings in her home, and one of the riders came to the meeting. All kinds of stories like that. And it doesn't have to be athleticism. Just imagine people walking up and down their stairs. I've had many people tell me that they have to stop halfway, catch their breath, walk to the top, and it's just very difficult for them. And then they get on the product, and all of a sudden they're walking right to the top of the stairs, and they didn't even realize it until they got to the top that they didn't stop. So many amazing stories like that. I picked up motocross at 46 years old. I'd been on this product for a little over 2 years. The longer you're on something and you're taking it every day, the more the body's rebuilding itself, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but we do see some amazing things happen for a lot of people very quickly. But this was something where it was increasing my recovery, my stamina, and just my overall well-being to where I felt like I was 16. So I started doing things that I was when I was 16. But one of them was my mom wouldn't let me ride on a motocross track. And I understand why now, the dangers from it. But I loved dirt bikes. But at this point, I hadn't ridden a dirt bike for like 25 years. I completely forgot about them. And so taking this product, all of a sudden I'm thinking, you know what? Why don't I go and get a dirt bike? You know, I just felt like there wouldn't be I didn't even feel like anything wasn't going to happen. I just felt like I wanted to do it. And so I went down, bought a dirt bike, and I didn't even have a truck. I had to buy a truck. And then the first place I went to was the motocross track. And it was a blast. I was falling down all over the place. I was getting hurt, but I loved it. It was so exhilarating. It was something that I just love and very passionate about. And I noticed that I was outperforming physically, endurance-wise, the teenagers that were on the track. I was totally paying attention. And I got really good because I'd go 3-4 days in a row in the middle of the week when nobody was out there. And I started racing the teenagers. I took a 3rd place in my first race, a 2nd place in my 2nd race. And getting ready for the 3rd race, I had an accident the day before the race. And I shattered this leg. It's called a pilon fracture. It's the worst kind of fracture you can get. It shattered my bone like glass. And the doctor that was there just put this external fixator on. It's bolted in through my heel, top of my foot, and in my leg right there. And it totally holds this so it can't move at all. That way the pieces won't shift around. And so the doctor came into town. He fixed the leg, and then I went in for a checkup, and we were talking. And he said I would never run again, and it could take up to 6 months to a year before I even stand on that leg. And so I had other plans, and I said, well, I'm going to take extra of the isogenesis. While I was in bed for 6 weeks, I ate nothing but isogenics. It was my soul food. I mean, there was nothing else that I took, no soup, nothing. It was all isogenics for 6 weeks. And I recovered very quickly. I was walking up and down the stairs at home. So I was in bed for 6 weeks. I was in the wheelchair for 2 weeks. I was on the crutches and this little scooter for 2 weeks. So that's a total of 10 weeks. 2 weeks later, I'm running stadiums at the college. That was a total of 3 months from the day of the accident, not even the day of the surgery, which was about 2 weeks after the accident. So phenomenal results. This went viral on Facebook. There's quite a few people who have gotten on the product and gotten back with me because of their healing. And even after being off of my feet for 10 weeks, there was no muscle atrophy. My cells were maintaining the structure, the identity, because of the products that I was taking. And I talk about what I was doing and what products I was taking. And again, that's blessed a lot of people's lives because we videoed that and shared it. This picture right here, Emily, we have great before and after pictures in isogenics, and people are sharing them all the time on Facebook. And Emily was sharing Kathy's, who's a friend of mine, and her friends won't believe her. And that this is the person that's under this box. So I'm just going to ask you, how old do you think this person is right here? And I'm going to just tell you that this is happening in my world all over the place. But isogenics is only in about 0.5% of homes, not even 1% in the United States. And so a lot of people don't know that this is happening. But those of us that are involved and are pioneering this, this is like something that we're waiting to happen to people as they start taking the product. So how old would you say Kathy is right here? Well, she's actually 69 years old right there. And she comes into the conversation and says, hello, these pictures are in fact of me. This one on the right is me at Fitness America in Las Vegas at 69. I just turned 70 in May. And then she says, I really do feel like I've been aging backwards. And what else could I possibly give the credit to? Thank you, John Anderson, Bill Andrews. And here she is at 70 right here. I had a 92-year-old come up to me in Bend, Oregon, and she said, can I share my story with you before you get started? And I said, absolutely. She said, well, I'm 92. I've been on your product for about 4 months. I was in a full-time caregiver facility. I couldn't even take care of myself. And I got out of there 2 months ago, and I got my driver's license back 2 weeks ago. And pretty amazing. This is the breakthrough into a new era. There's going to become a time when this is a household name, and this is something that's common. But right now we're pioneering this, and we're really, clearing the pathway, making the way. I did a meeting at a dentist office because of what he saw happen to one of his patients' teeth, Kathy Winterger. And he said, in my 30 years of being a dentist, I'd never seen anything like this. So when I did the meeting, Amy came, and she was a guest, and I didn't know her at the time. And her father-in-law, she said that they were, being told maybe it's time to put him into a nursing home because of the stress that goes along with those issues. Well, she got him on the product here at 82, and here he is at 83, here he is at 85, and here he is at 87. He's working out. He drives himself around. I was just with them in April. We do a longevity expo that I lecture out there, and he's doing fantastic. And he shared his testimony at the meeting, and I'll see them again next April. This is Minnie. We stayed at this farmhouse when we were in Minnesota, just in April. And this was back in the beginning. And I was put on the phone with a gal named Liddy Flom, and the person that did the three-way, Marilyn Gardner, she said, hey, we got to talk to Liddy. She's been involved in nutrition for over 30 years, and she's a mover and shaker. And so it took us 5 phone calls, but I finally was able to talk to her about telomeres and Bill Andrews' collaboration with John Anderson. And she says, if you have a product that will support telomeres like that, that's the breakthrough, what did she say? That is the holy grail of nutrition. And I need it yesterday. And she told me about her mom. She said, I can't even have a normal conversation with my mom on the phone. And this is her mom laying down. I was there. This is at their farm, at their home. I was there a week later doing presentations. Her back was so bent over, it forced her chin into her chest. She couldn't even stand up straight. And this is her 5 months later. This is her at 80. This is her at 83. And see how her chin is up off of her chest. And she started walking straight up and down, normal conversations. I was with her when I went out in April. Her husband drove around. We covered about 600 miles, and we stayed at their farm, so we'd drive back to the farm every night. He's ice skating. He jogs. His skin looks amazing at 90. I wish I would have took a selfie. He rode shotgun in the car with me, and I have a video of him ice skating backwards on one foot at 89 years old. So it's restoring quality of life. I mean, that's the thing that we're talking about here. Our health is our number one asset. Jacqueline Kennedy in the hospital bed when she was about to die said, I would give up all of my millions to get my health back. And, I've had a few people saying, I wish I would have known about this product 6 months ago. Even people in isogenics don't even realize what this product is. They haven't seen this presentation, the depth of the science behind it. And, when they see it, they really appreciate it. This is Tim. Tim, they were going to put the Harrington rods in his back because he was having that curvature problem. And that's where they weld basically a rod to your back, and they straighten you out. They can crank it straight. And they said you wouldn't really be able to jump off of a curb. You could hurt yourself really bad with that Harrington rod in your back. And he said, no, I don't want it. And then when I met Tim at 58 years old, he was so hunched over, he could barely lift a bucket. He's a handyman. And he would carry a bucket between his legs, about 15 pounds, and he was way hunched over. And him and his wife, they own a pet store, a grooming store, and this is where Malcolm would take his dog. And Malcolm's had amazing results. They saw Malcolm and his wife, and Malcolm was his wife's caregiver, and she's totally fine and can take care of herself now. And they noticed, and so they got on the products. And amazing. This picture here is a little over a year, but you can't tell with anything on Tim. And he's getting muscle back. He loves to flex his bicep and just looks amazing. And he says, I can carry 2 30-pound buckets in both hands, one in each hand, no problem. They sold their pet grooming store. So this is Malcolm's #1 income earner in his group. And they just closed down they didn't sell it. They closed it down, the pet grooming store. So Malcolm's gonna have to find a new pet groomer. This is Doyle. And I'd show this picture 3 weeks earlier. I thought Doyle was gonna die in the meeting. Literally, we talk about it, and Doyle, had some uncurable issues. And I literally thought, this is no joke, that he was gonna die maybe in the meeting. And he showed up 3 weeks later. I didn't even recognize it was him. We were talking, and I said, Doug, you're the guy that was going to die like last time you were here, right? He said, yeah, that was me. And I truly believe I would have if it wasn't for these products. He put on 15 pounds in those 3 weeks. His skin cleared up. Like in just 3 weeks, it looks amazing from where it was. And he's not coughing. He said he had that cough that he was like heaving and just having a hard time breathing and coughing in the meeting for 6 years. It's gone. And he followed us around from meeting to meeting after this, and he's on a mission. He wants to change people's lives with this, and they can't believe the results that he's having where they were seeing him at the hospital. This is Bob Sheridan. He's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's known as the Colonel. They sent him home from the hospital. His heart ejections were too weak to even put a pacemaker in. And they said, just go home and get the paperwork ready. And my friends Dennis and Sharon Allen, they know Bob personally. They live down in Vegas where Bob lives. And Bob is a boxing announcer. He announced more title bouts than any other announcer. He used to announce Muhammad Ali's fights. And Bob got on the product, and all of a sudden he's going back to work. He's announcing boxing matches. He had me in his home, and I did a meeting. And within 6 months, Fight News is interviewing him, saying, Bob, what happened? You look fantastic. We thought we were going to lose you. What did you do? And in the interview, he says, my wife Annie got me on this product called Product B, and then he lists everything that's happening for him. And his heart ejections went into the mid-range, which they're never supposed to do that. There's never been a case where that's happened. Once you drop below 20, you never rebound. And he went up to 43. Here he is sitting at home in his recliner, and they did the heart surgery that they said they'd never be able to do in that first picture. He bought a sports car, got a ticket going 120 miles an hour. I mean, he's got his youth back. They interviewed him again just recently, 77 years old. And they said, Bob, you're looking great. You're calling fights, and you're doing the galas. And they said, how you feeling? And he said, I literally feel like I could go on announcing for another 20 years. 77 years old, he said that. And then one more story here. This is Karen, another one that Malcolm shared with. I was doing a meeting in Vegas, and Malcolm hadn't talked to Karen for 9 years, but he was coming into town for our big company event. I'm doing a meeting on Thursday. Our company event starts on Sunday. And so he's thinking, who do I know in Vegas? And he invited Karen. Didn't know she had been homebound for 3 years and that she had already turned in the paperwork to the funeral home. She was supposed to die by October, November from pulmonary issues. She comes to the meeting and just totally gets it. She's kept herself alive holistically, and but she was coming to the end of the rope. And so she actually bought some pills from somebody that was there. We don't have inventory. We don't sell products. And, we get people their own account, and we order them, and they ship to you. And you're in control of those orders. But she wanted to get started on it that night. And so she found somebody that had their pills with them, and she bought some from them. This is her 2 days later. Just that one product right there. That's why I've been sharing Isogenesis. It goes right to the core foundation, the most important place. It's the easiest product to take, but yet it's the results are so profound. This is her in 3 days. She came to our company event. Somebody that was homebound came to the company event, got there early, listened to the science talks before the event started, and stayed for the whole event. Couldn't believe it, and so as she came to the event, she learned about these other products that I'm going to talk a little bit about here next. And she got on, we call these our 4 pillars of health. These are the ones that I got started on back in 2005. So thus far, she'd only been on these products. So she starts taking the 4 pillars, and this is her a month later. This is her 2 months later. Do you know the funeral home called in early December Her daughter answered the phone and they said, yeah, where's Karen's body? Did she go to a different funeral home? Because this is long past the time that we were expecting her. And her daughter said, no, she's in the kitchen right now baking cookies. She decided to live. I mean, what a great story, right? She's riding horses. This is a picture of her on Facebook. She's totally got her life back. She's changed a lot of people's lives with these products. Because again, when you're grateful, you share, right? How grateful do you think Karen was? Pretty amazing. So you now know more about the science of aging than 99% of the world. And I want to say this very loud, very clearly. This is an asset. Without this, there are no assets. You could put things that are good for your body, but it's going to slow down the telomere shortening. We have something that's supporting the telomeres in a way that it never has before. So I call this an asset product when it comes to the telomeres. Now, if everything else is a liability, then here's the principle. Liabilities cost you. They cost you in ways that you don't want to spend your money on a liability, like when your car breaks down. It becomes a liability. You got to pay, you got to put out the money, and it's costing you, right? And trust me, as a mechanic for 15 years, people don't like when their cars break down and they have to pay for it. And so when it comes to telomeres, if everything's a liability, eventually you're going to be paying for those liabilities. It's not always just going to be in money, but yeah, for sure with money, healthcare, and being reactive to your health when something bad happens. So you can't afford to not be on this product. And it's so cheap. I mean, they kept it at a price that everybody could get on it anyways. But I want to make a point here because this is a new thing. This is what we call the normalcy bias. The things I shared with you are not normal. I understand that. There should be some skepticism. There should be some eyebrows raised. But what I'm sharing with you is the facts. And I've forgotten more results that are even better than the ones I just shared. Maybe not better, but just as profound as the ones I've shared with you. People remind me as I go and do the presentations, and they're, why do you tell this story anymore? And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that one. And so here's the thing. If you don't get on something that's going to be an asset, by principle, the principle of health and the science of aging, it's going to cost you way more in the long run. And again, not just financially. I mean, what was it costing Robin in the way of liabilities here? Yeah, there's going to be medical issues down the road if there aren't already. But what about just the quality of life and the stamina and being able to do the things that you want to do? Run around, play with the grandkids, play with the kids, whatever the case might be. So look at Robin before and after. This is Robin with Dr. C.D. Hessel right here. And just incredible people, salt of the earth and out making a difference in people's lives, both doing isogenics full time, both millionaires in isogenics, good friends. And you know, Robin says, it's my secret weapon. It's been working on me from the inside out. It has literally turned back the clock. So you know more about aging and the principle of health and aging than literally 99% of the world. I was doing a presentation a couple of weeks ago. Somebody came up to me and they said, yeah, I asked my doctor what they knew about telomeres. And they asked me, what's that? I mean, come on, you guys. I'm going to go over some nutritional things now that just most people don't know. And as I learned them, I thought everybody needs to know this so that they at least have a chance through education to make better choices. So I'm going to finish out the presentation here on what I got started on back in 2005. Now, this is a study from UCLA on spinach being grown in the US, and they started monitoring the iron content in spinach. And iron is a mineral that your body has to have. In fact, you have to have about 60 minerals going into your body at every meal. They're not optional. Well, one bowl would give you enough iron for a week. So your iron's taken care of, right? In 2007, you need 51 bowls of spinach to get the same amount of iron. It has literally declined in every area with all of the minerals. This is the decline of minerals across the board. In our soil, this is two different studies. This is Senate Document 264. Nobody can eat enough fruits, vegetables, and grains now being raised on millions of acres of land that no longer contain enough of certain needed minerals. They're starving us no matter how much we eat. This is the Department of Agriculture here and showing the decline of minerals and the rise of disease as a result. And it's not only that, it's that people are eating mostly processed food now. Yeah, this is a problem, but let's accelerate the problem by eating processed foods, which definitely don't have the nutrition in them, and they have the chemicals that are even exacerbating the problem. When our air was air, water was water, food was food, and poison was in its own little container. Our bodies can take care of themselves innately. We've gotten so far away from this, though, we have to become proactive and we have to become very wise, because supplements are not equal. I've seen so many studies now. The most recent one that I saw was called bogus supplements. None of them had what they said were in them. None of them. It's not a highly regulated industry. They can have less than 10% of what they say is in there. And still, that's okay. Well, it's not okay, because the end user isn't going to get the benefits. They're thinking they're putting something in their body due to false advertising and labeling, but they're not getting it. And so now the poison's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the food. Do you know they find over 300 chemicals every time they inspect a newborn baby's blood? Over 300 chemicals. And those are just the ones they're looking for. I'm sure there's a lot more than that. Just in our drinking water in our homes coming out of the tap, they find between 500 and 800 different kind of industrial chemicals in the water after it goes through the whole municipal, water system. And this right here, Google this, the dirty dozen, fruits and vegetables. It gives you the most toxic fruits and vegetables every year because of all of the pesticides that they're spraying on them. Pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. They're spraying so much, it's not just on the outside, it's like water and it gets to the inside. Celery, potatoes, lettuce, spinach, green bell peppers, apples, strawberries. I mean, come on. So not only do they not have the minerals in them, now they have things that have replaced the minerals with toxicity. And USDA certified, which is your highest rating for organic, doesn't mean it has the minerals in it. And a lot of people are really shocked when I tell them, do you know they still spray them with pesticides? Just not as much, not as long, but they're still spraying them with pesticides. So what do we do about this? Well, I was doing everything I could. I was doing the supplements. I was trying everything, exercising, eating right, eating tuna out of a can, salad with lemon squeezed over it, and it wasn't working. And I never lost my appetite because my alkalinity never changed. This is the pH and acidic chart. We're over 70% water, and the water in our body needs to be alkaline just like a pool. So they're going to put acid and chlorine in a pool, right? So this would be chlorine and bleach up here. This would be acid down here. When you get the right amounts, you're equalizing your pH. It should be 7.0 to 7.5. And you can test that very easily with alkaline strips. And somebody marked up the screen here. Let me just see if I can clear that out real quick. Right here. Clear. Okay, there we go. All right. So the problem is that when you drop below 7, you create this environment in your body called acidosis, and it creates a diseased body. You're going to accelerate your telomere shortening. You're going to accelerate aging. You're going to accelerate disease as well. And one of those is cancer. And the more acidic you become, the more cancerous. The shorter your telomeres in your organs, the more you're going to need something, to keep you alive because they're not working on their own. Now, this is what most people are eating, right? Food Matters, which is a documentary. I got an email from them saying that Americans are eating 90% processed food as their main staple. 90%. I thought that's kind of high. And as I went into the main grocery stores, not like a Whole Foods where people are more nutritionally minded, but like a Walmart, Super Walmart grocery store, I saw people putting 100% of processed food on the conveyor belt as they were checking out. It's madness. And people don't realize that Food Matters says good health makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars. In the medical industry, they don't take nutritional training. They don't teach you about nutrition. They're going to feed you something like Ensure to recover from major surgery, right? And illnesses. Ensure, stay away from it. Run away from Ensure. And that's what they're putting their patients on. Like these cereals, I mean, these are all processed. Even flour that comes from wheat, it's so bastardized that the minerals that would normally make your body alkaline are manufactured or processed out of. There's about 24 minerals in wheat, but now they're gone completely because they bleached it, they processed it, so it becomes acidic. And here's the thing about flour, it turns to glucose faster in your blood than sugar does. So you'll get an insulin spike from eating a McDonald's hamburger bun faster than you would eating ice cream or, drinking a soda with sugar in it. And if you were to reach 4 on the acidic level in all of your fluids. Like if I could snap your finger and all of the 70% plus fluids in your body went to a 4, you'd be dead because it just can't maintain life. It's too close to battery acid. Coffee is a 3.0 on the acidic level. Soda is a 2.5. I mean, these are literally below death. They're literally the cause, things like this, of cancer because cancer thrives. You're going to mutate those cells at that acidic level. Now, how do you feed them? Glucose, sugar, refined white flour, things that are going to turn into glucose in your body. So let's just go ahead and put sugar in the acidic drink, and we'll put whipped cream and caramel. Really feed those cancer cells as we're creating them. Do you know cancer is the #1 killer now? 1 in 2 for both men and women. It passed up cardiovascular disease. And yet cancer can't exist in a body that's alkaline. People don't know this. This is why I love sharing this information. It just empowers people. It's better to teach people how to fish rather than just give them a fish because it's empowering. And this is what I dedicated my life to. I have a partner my life with this legacy company that has a vision to impact world health and in the process become the largest health and wellness company in the world. And that's what we're set on. We're on a trend to do that. We're leading the way. Our clinical studies are blowing the medical community away. John Anderson created this meal replacement. He's known as the mineral man by his colleagues. All of the minerals your body need are in this shake, and they're in their raw form. And John Anderson's the only formulator figured out how to freeze dry digestive enzymes. This is enzyme active, meaning it's going to get delivered and assimilated to the body. The protein we do not get from the sick cattle here in the US. We get them from New Zealand. It's a grade level 7. The protein and the way it's processed here in the US is a grade level 2. It's worse than soda. Most of it's dead. Most of it's oxidized. The amino acid profile is the highest amino acid profile on any protein. This is better than eating egg whites, which is about 70%. This is over 90% going to deliver protein to the body. We literally have people putting on muscle without exercising. There's over 240 nutrients in this shake. There's no way you could make a plate of food like that. And it raises the alkalinity so quickly, which causes you to get rid of the cravings for the acidic foods. That's why I haven't had soda and coffee and Rockstar energy drinks in almost 13 years. Snickers bars, I used to have them every day. But because I eat this shake every day, my body stays alkaline, and every day I don't crave those other things. I've only had 3 Snickers bars and coming up on 13 years. Not because I don't want to gain the weight back. I just don't crave them anymore. If I want to have ice cream, I'll eat it, but it's months between the last time I had ice cream. And if I do, I don't need as much. But like pizza, those things like that, I used to eat like the whole box. I don't even want pizza anymore. If I want it, I'll eat it. But, and when I put that garbage in my body, if I'm going to indulge, at least I've got the nutrition in my body every day to get the garbage out. But I don't. For the most part, I don't. I like to eat, and I'll eat the things I want to eat. I don't feel like I'm missing anything because it totally shifts the body. The body's what's giving it up, not me. And I'm just following suit. Everybody's doing that anyways right now. Everything you're craving is what your body craves. Not what you crave, it's what your body craves. Incredible flavors. And, so there's our shake. It's a complete meal replacement. I recommend doing at least 2 a day. No matter what you eat, I don't care if you indulge that day. Eat 2 shakes a day so you're getting the nutrition in there. My alkalinity at about 11 o'clock in the morning, I measured Carter's at 8 years old. His was just like mine, high 7s. His friend was low 6s at 8 years old when I tested him. So here's the reason why we're losing the weight so quickly. 53 pounds in 8 weeks, that's pretty fast, right? And why is it effective? Why is it healthy? Why is it not harmful to the body? Because it's not a diet. We're not dying, we're thriving. And this is a fat cell. These are toxins. So if the toxins are in the baby's blood, they're totally in us as well. And the body's going to protect you. The body's very smart. And it understands what's going on, and it's going to try and keep you alive. And so as these toxins get into the body, it just puts them into the fat, and it coagulates them there and holds them. It's like a holding tank. So that way they don't get into areas where they could harm your organs and the lean tissue. Well, we've been saying that since 2002. When you cleanse, you'll get the toxins out and you'll lose weight as a side benefit. 2005, science caught up with us. This is a fat cell, and there's a toxin. So when I went on my diet, I shrank my fat cells, which release the toxins from the fat. Well, when they're released from the fat, where does that mean they go? Well, they get picked up by the capillaries and the cardiac vessels, and they start being fed to the lean tissue. They can be. The body doesn't want that, and it knows that. And so it has these enzymatic processes that could actually grab these and put them back in the fat cell. But if I'm dieting, there's not enough room in the fat cell. So I'll hit a plateau. What happens is this is a warning system to the body that tells the liver to create more protective stuff. We call it fat. We don't like fat, but the body does because it wants to protect you from these things. So you won't lose any more weight right here. That's why we hit the plateau, and that's where I was at when Isagenix was introduced to us. Now, I can pretty much maintain my plateau if I stay on my diet and exercise program, but the minute I eat something that's high in fat, high in calories, it's going to give my liver more calories to produce more fat, and it blows the fat cells back up. Whoops. It blows the fat cells back up and puts the toxins back in the fat cell, and I gain the weight back. That's the rebound. Now, that's where I was at the plateau when we found Isagenix. I was exercising, and I even stopped exercising for the first month. This is a full body nutritional cellular cleanse. Again, John Anderson's genius in formulating. He didn't have to figure out how to do in months what a group of researchers couldn't do in over a decade. He already knew how to formulate like that. That's why he felt very optimistic. His formulating genius is going into all of the products. This one's no exception. And it's the world's first and only full body nutritional cellular cleanse. So there's over 100 active ingredients that support the body to get these things out through the urination process. So when I did a cleanse day, I released toxins. And my first cleanse day, I released 5 pounds. My second cleanse day, I released 7 pounds. In 25 days, I released 27 pounds, no exercise. And it was working through the urination process. I cleanse on a regular basis now. I do it once a week. I released 53 pounds in 8 weeks, and I've kept it off for over 12 years. So this has become a lifestyle for me and my family. We love cleansing, and it tastes great. It's all natural. It's not doing things to the body. It's supporting the body to do what it already knows how to do. So there's our Isa family. You know, there's London. She does, Mackenzie and her kids, they do 2 shakes a day. Here's Cosette. She's drinking the bottle. Drinking it out of a bottle here. And then here she is drinking it with a cup. Almost 3 years old, these two here. They love Isagenix. I mean, look at London. After she already had a shake that morning, she saw mom drinking one. I still feel like that when I drink a shake. I literally look forward to my next shake. It's not I have to drink it. I get to drink it. Because my body's alkaline, I crave the shake because it's alkaline, like I used to crave ice cream when my body was acidic because it's acidic. So it's a total flip. Madison here at the dorm drinking it in dance. And she's at the university for dance, and she believes that these products are a big part of why she's there, the stamina, the recovery, and all that she's able to do. Here's Ariel. She's in Hollywood writing for musicians and singer, songwriter, composer. She's doing some amazing things. Curtis and Sebastiana and their daughter, Cosette. And then you have Mackenzie and their 3 kids. And Mackenzie and her husband have been doing it full time for 5 years. Carter drinking a shake before school, taking his Isagenesis. This is another baby on Facebook. Just a real quick video here.
Is that your shake?
This is Liddy Flom's grandson. She said she was observing him while she was at her daughter's house, and he was asking for a shake, but nobody was making one. And so she watched him push the chair over to the counter, grab this canister, and he started eating the powder. And she's like, I got to video this. We had our pack out on the front doorstep. It was dropped off by UPS, and our dog got out. And the dog actually ripped through the box and got the products and took them into the backyard and was eating them. He had bars everywhere. It just goes to show, that the product and the body craving it, and it's real food. And, we literally are an Isagenix family. We love the products. It's such an integral part of our lives. And here are some people that I know. Nancy, she's almost 70. Here she is in the sickness system where they're maintaining her illness, and she's getting worse, so they just attach oxygen to her face. She's very grateful that somebody shared Isagenix with her. Here she is in the gym doing one-arm push-ups on a medicine ball. Here's a more recent picture. She wants to do a figure competition. And I think she is 70 now. This gal's almost 70, and you can see abs. It's not that your metabolism slows down. It's just that we continually don't support the body. This gal here, stay-at-home mom, couldn't release the weight after having a baby, and here she is. I don't know why, but people say that. I've heard, people after the presentation, they're talking with their guests, and they don't believe that that's her. She became a millionaire in the company. Spencer, my buddy, this is Everett. He actually gained weight. He was too skinny when we started. He was 112 pounds when he started, and he was on a walker, 82 years old. He gained 14 pounds in 30 days, kind of like Chase, but he's younger, teenager, and he couldn't put the weight on, and like Everett at 82, and he put on 15 pounds of muscle. But because of the cleansing and getting the body to release that stubborn fat, he released 5% body fat as well. And that's how somebody right here could lose or release over 120 pounds in less than a year. And it's healthy. No hanging skin. This is Jill Berth. She released 136 pounds in in 12 months. She's a really good friend. No hanging skin. Totally transformed her life. And Jeff Beebe at almost 55 right there. And then this is Heather. That's her. She's in People Magazine as a health coach. And then this gal was in People Magazine in January this year. 2 people. She released 439 pounds. You should see her picture now. It looks even more amazing. I need to get it in here. But there's another gal in this same edition, talks about Isagenix. 2 people. The other one released over 200 pounds. So the products work. Clinically proven. I wanted to show those real quick because this right here is Dr. Paul Arciero. He did our clinicals, and they did a 6-month study with Isagenix with no exercise. It went up against the heart healthy diet. And we lost 4 times more fat in those 6 months with no exercise, but also increased the muscle 4 times more. So building muscle without even exercising, increased the metabolism 2 times more, and toxins released through the urination 3 times more. He said, had I not done this study, I'd have never believed it. There's just no way. This is so far out of the norm. And if that wasn't crazy enough numbers, this right here blew us away. 33% decrease in visceral fat. This is the fat that's around your organs in the midsection. This is an MRI cutaway looking from the top down. And this is the fat that they started with on Isagenix, and look at it's gone. He said, you don't even lose that with exercise. That's the most difficult fat to get rid of. We literally changed people's lives who are now Isagenix associates that were just participants in this clinical. This was published in medical journals, PubMed being one of the most distinguished. It was the #1 ranked study over Harvard, Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, North Carolina, Stanford. It really put Dr. Paul Arciero in the spotlight. He really appreciates being the one that was able to report on that study. So here I was just doing what everybody else was doing, and you could only put out equal to what you're putting in. And these products changed my life. So it had to change this. And it did. As a mechanic, I became a better mechanic. I became a better husband, better father, better overall citizen, because I felt amazing, right? But I aligned myself with what did that for me. And it changed everything in every area of our lives. It's $29 to become a customer in Isagenix. And everybody gets the products at the same price. The company's paid us nearly $10 million now. We're making, $1 million a year. And if I was to go in and buy some products right now and you just signed up tonight as a customer, you would get the products the same price I do. I really love that with the company. And you can buy you can buy however many you want. There's no front loading. They know that because you're going to get great results on the products, you'll be a repeat buyer. And we are in the top 25, ranked number 20 in the top 25 by the DSA in the world in this industry as a 16-year-old company. Everybody in the top 25 has been around for 40 years or longer. So we are really making an unprecedented statement by being able to do that because of the results that we're getting. Well, what happened is people saw my results and then they started asking me. So I got them on the products, didn't sign them up at first because I didn't understand that. But then once their friends started calling me, it really opened us up to really taking a look at the opportunity and understanding it. I went to my first meeting, was blown away by the science of the products and just a whole new mission in life. I could tell you now that this is my destiny. This is my purpose. This is my vehicle for helping to bring heaven to earth, because we know that that's going to happen anyways, right? In fact, the founders of the company believe that they're divinely inspired. They said that we now know that this is the purpose for us being born here on the earth at this time. We didn't come out of retirement to play games. We don't have an exit strategy. We're creating a legacy company. We're going to become one of these great companies that everybody knows. That's a household name. And the values that have gotten us to where we are, those are never going to change. If it's not right for the customers, if it's not right for the associates, it's not right for the company. That's their motto. And they said, we're never going to change those values, but we're going to evolve as a company. We're going to keep up with the changes in technology and the understanding that we have. But our values, we'll never compromise those. They never compromised this compensation plan. It's never changed. And what I realized was, I want to take advantage of this opportunity. My friends are calling me at this point, and I haven't made a dime because I haven't taken advantage of the opportunity. So they said, well, all you need to do is order 100 BV. I thought I was going to need to order some more product and inventory and then have to sell that inventory every month. And they said, no, as a customer, you're already qualified, Dave. All you have to do is share it with 2 other people. Look, 100 BV is very easy to reach. The average customer is ordering way more than 100 BV. And so 2 bottles of isogenesis is more than 100 BV, stands for business volume. If you order a minimal amount of product, you could get paid 6% on everybody on unlimited depth. I didn't really fully understand what that meant, but I just said, okay, show me how to do this. And they said, well, as soon as you enroll 2 people who will order 100 BV, then you can start getting paid 6% on every single person that comes in. And I was very proactive because it changed my life. I was very grateful. And because I saw that it was changing other people's lives too, that just added fuel to the fire. And then people were locking arms with me. For my personal story, when it comes to the compensation plan, I replaced my income in 4.5 months. And now Carrie and I are coming up on $10 million. And it's incredible the people that we're partnering up with and that we're aligning with, and it's just not slowing down, it's speeding up. And that can't be said for most companies. They change their compensation plans, they dilute the products. There's this greed, this ego, this, these things that come in. And Kathy Coover said that's never happening in this company. She was a victim to that in 3 different companies. She was the top female income earner in 3 different companies, and they all pulled the rug out from under her. Kathy's one of the founders, and she says, this is my baby. I'm guarding this with my life. And so she wants to create more 6- and 7-figure income earners and create a networking company that the networker could call home and feel safe and know that this is not only going to be here for them, but it's going to be here for their kids and their kids' kids. In fact, our spots are willable to our kids. So I enrolled 2 people, started building a business, and almost to 300,000 people now. So let's use Cindy as an example. She's a home health nurse. She just got in recently, a little over a year now. And she said I had about 8 hours a week to spend as a home health nurse for most of that first year. And in 1 year, she had enrolled 25 people. Well, she enrolled somebody from her previous company that she had been in for 14 years. And so now Malcolm is in her downline. And Malcolm was involved with that company for 28 years. And the most that Cindy had made in a month in that company after 14 years was about $1,400. And now she's had months where she's over $4,000 in just like right around a year's time, a little over a year's time. She said, I'm retiring this year. I'm going to retire this. And it's not even been 2 years yet. It's been about 20 months. So when she had enrolled those 25 people, she had 950 in her entire organization. Like I didn't enroll the almost 300,000. I enrolled, Carrie and I, about 225 people. But we have almost 300,000. We get paid 6% on all of them. How do they even do that, right? And it calculates daily and it pays weekly. So this is an amazing company to be a part of it. However you want to present it to people. I like to present with the 2 bottles of isogenesis. Get people started in a very profound way. It's very easy to do, and it's very profound results. But there's a lot of ways to get started. However you decide to get started, get back with the person that got you here. But it completely transformed our lives in every area of our lives. Not only did I replace the broken window, we replaced the entire house with a brand new home, about 5,000 square feet, and driving the cars we want to drive, take the vacations we want to take, and make the impact in the world that we want to make. The more money you make, the bigger impact you can make, because the more time freedom you have and the more resources you have. And when that comes in through passive residual, just because I'm ordering my 100 BV, that's true freedom. In fact, Jim Cooper came out on the stage one year and said, do we create passive residual income or what? And the answer is absolutely, because I'm ordering 100 BV and I have a minimum of 2 people who are doing the same, they're paying me a 7-figure income. And whether it's $200 a week that you're making or $500 a week, I mean, it's up to you. Just get out there and change more people's lives and partner up with people who want to change people's lives and impact them. That's the secret to this. I've never focused on the money. I've always focused on helping people with their physical health, their financial health, and with their mental health. I mean, the mindset is a big deal too. And we talk a lot about that. That's what our podcast is all about. Mechanic to Millionaire is ranked number 12 in the world by Inc. magazine. Over 1 million downloads on that, where it's truly impacting people's lives. So, this could be anybody. And our number one income earners have been in way less time, about half the amount of time that Carrie and I have been in, a little over 6 years. And they're our number one income earners in the company. So it's a very fair, very equal compensation plan. And we're just getting started. We know that. We're at $1 billion a year just this last year, and they want to get to $3 billion. Their goal and what they're forecasting is $3 billion in the next 3 years. $3 billion a year in the next 3 years. That's a lot of growth. We created 256 millionaires now. So however you want to get started, get back with the person that got you here. You can buy 1 bottle of Isogenesis. You can buy 2 and get a qualified order, and that's enough for 2 people for a month. If it's just you and you want a qualified order and you don't need 2 bottles, then do 1 bottle and a shake a day. Or you can do a value pack. This value pack is an incredible deal. It's kind of like Costco. The more you buy, the cheaper it is. This has everything I talked about and more. I didn't even talk about the Ionic Supreme, which is one of the pillars of health. Dr. Michael Colgan has aligned himself with our company. He trains Olympic athletes. He said, I found good products out there, but the more I looked into the company, the more I didn't want to align with them. He said, when I saw your Ionic Supreme and it had everything that I'm giving my Olympic athletes and more, all in 1 bottle at a fraction of the cost, I looked into your company. And the deeper I looked, the better it got. Now he's one of the doctors on our scientific advisory board. He actually designed a product for brain health in our company. So just 2 shakes a day in this kit, a cleanse day every week. Isogenesis is in this box right here with the AM, PM essentials. Your snacks throughout the day, a blender. This blender rocks. It's an incredible value, and it's a free membership. And it also gives you 2 free memberships for people that you enroll with a minimum order. So however you want to get started, get back with the person that got you here. Thanks for joining me. I hope I shared something with you that is helping you to see the insight to the vision. This is really a movement. Yeah, it's products, and they're unparalleled products, which is going to make an unparalleled difference in people's lives, but it goes far beyond that. But your health is important. How you feel, how you wake up every day is going to be a part of the movement that you're a part of. Literally, this is my vehicle to empower people in their personal lives to bring heaven to earth. If everybody was out helping people to improve their lives on a daily basis, that would be heaven on earth. People would start moving towards their goals. They would start self-actualizing. They would reach the goals they set and then set new goals. We passed our goals up in the dream life that we thought was our dream life 10 dreams ago. I mean, we've infinitely passed them up. We're living a fairy tale dream come true life. And this is something that's possible for everybody. So I hope that you see that vision and that movement. And on one level or another, partner up with us. And, David Gikandi said, in the future, there will be companies that come around that will actually have products that truly impact people's lives and make them wealthy at the same time, which makes the company even more wealthy. Well, hello, David. That company now exists. It's called Isogenics. So thanks for joining me, you guys. I'm going to stop the recording here.